Wolves go to 22-24 in a game that they had no business winning, and in the end they would not, as they lose by 4 points in Denver against the Nuggets. The Nuggets have now won 15 straight home games. The Wolves are 1-9 on their last 10 road games. And when that thing started, I kind of thought that the Wolves were in to just get slaughtered. We did not have Rudy Gobert or Karl Anthony Towns going against the back-to-back MVP Nikola Jokic, who is playing at a level where he might get a third one in a row. In that first quarter, he just emasculated every Wolf on the court, just getting buckets in the paint like it's nothing. Every rebound he gets, he just launches that thing for a transition bucket for everyone. When Jokic gets a rebound, it's an advantage because it ignites fast breaks constantly. And I've been thinking about it so much. I'm like, if you see Cat or Gobert get rebounds, that's when things really slow down, especially Gobert. They don't make the quick passes. They're not going to take it on the break off the dribble. Whereas you see like Naz Reid, he can get a rebound, sprint that up the court. Even Jared Vanderbilt has started doing that in Utah. We saw him recently. And so having those rebounders that can also bring pace is so special. And Jokic can do it without being an athletic guy. He's just that special of a passer. So much so, I feel like we didn't force him to pass almost at all this game, and he still picks up 13 assists, triple-double, just destroys us. That's just what Jokic does at this point. And the reason why I say I didn't feel like we forced him to pass the ball was because we didn't double team him almost at all through that game when we had basically no size out there. We tried to throw Naz Reid, Luka Garza, and Nate Knight, who are good players, but not people that can contend with him on the block in any right. And they couldn't stop him. He wasn't missing. He was drawing endless fouls on them. Meanwhile, almost all the other Nuggets players, most of the night, could not score. Jamal Murray would pick it up in the second half. Bruce Brown was on it all night, but he was mostly getting transition buckets as well. But it was kind of Jokic just terrorizing us in the paint and us just leaving whoever was guarding him on a lone lead and not helping at all, while the Nuggets couldn't shoot threes whatsoever. For the longest time, they only had 2 threes. They were shooting 16%. Well into the second half, and we are still not doubling at all as Jokic makes awkward hook after awkward hook. But despite all of that, the Wolves were in the lead most of this game. First quarter they struggled, and then we ended up closing it to a 3-point deficit, which I felt really good about. I'm like, how did this happen? Make some spurts in the second and third, so we're up by 5 at half, up by 7 going into the fourth. That was through a really balanced scoring effort. Jaden McDaniels would actually be our leading scorer. Kyle Anderson played another spectacular game, made a lot of huge plays on the offensive and defensive end, was getting a lot of blocks and steals to start that one, and we got a lot of blocks and steals for that game in general. Even though most of our team was in foul trouble tonight, it actually was not Jaden McDaniels, so kudos to him, as he also played really good defense in stretches. Blocked maybe 3 jump shots tonight, 2 at least on Jamal Murray threes. I think he got another one on a 3-point attempt. There was probably about 7 missed calls where Jaden McDaniels is going for drives, getting hit really hard. A lot of drives out of our forwards, saw a lot of contact with just nothing. And then we got some calls where there was genuinely no contact. There were some on us where that was the case. Just terrible officiating, as is the norm in the NBA at this point. It gets very frustrating. Someone I'm not going to blame the sucks for getting into foul trouble, though, was Jalen Noel. I think he picked up 4 fouls in the third quarter alone, had 5 in the game. I feel like his defense is just falling off as this season goes on. And I really hope that that trend stops, because I love seeing him out on the court. I thought he was such a scrappy player, but I feel like we're losing some of that. And we're also really losing a spark out of D'Angelo Russell. For someone who's having the best shooting season that he has had as a Timberwolf, I feel like a lot of that's going to waste at this point. Really seems like he's kind of go-through-mowing, maybe a little bit of Bledsogo even, because he's not trying in these games. We had 6 players shoot more than D'Angelo Russell tonight. And it's not like he was dishing out crazy assists. Sure, he had 7, but also 4 turnovers. I thought he was extremely careless with the ball, not aggressive at all, which is what I always say is the best version of D'Lo. It's kind of like he was only shooting the ball when he absolutely had to, and he never wanted to tonight. Only players on the team that shot less than D'Lo tonight: Wendell Moore Jr., Nathan Knight, and Jalen Noel. And those 3 players I listed had less combined minutes than D'Angelo Russell. This was a night where so much was stacked up against the Timberwolves and so many people brought it, but D'Angelo Russell was dormant the entire game, didn't seem locked in, and then Anthony Edwards was good in the first half, and second half just never really seemed to get his okay dance, and really just was flat. In our second to last offensive possession where we have a chance to tie the game or take the lead, Kyle Anderson, who's played a great game, is wide open, and Anthony Edwards decides to take a circus layup over Jokic instead of passing the ball to Anderson, who has no one within 10, 15 feet of him. And you may think he's not the greatest shooter, but he's shooting around 40% from three this year, and also could have driven the ball, could have done a lot of things in that scenario, but Ant was a little selfish in that time, and I felt like he was disjointed throughout that fourth quarter. A lot of great performances from Wolves that were just kind of squandered by our stars not showing up, and the coaching and decision to play Jokic completely straight up and never double him with no one shooting the ball well on the Nuggets, I think was a complete Osai and something that really hurt us in our chance to get a huge win over the number 1 seed in the West, Denver Nuggets. Didn't happen. We got our next one against Toronto in a back-to-back. Then we'll have 2 games against the Rockets, so hopefully easy ones there. And then, boy oh boy, does the noon duel get difficult. Timberwolves might be in a rough stretch coming up soon, which means I might be in a real rough stretch in Harvest. Wish me luck.